Do I want to revise my COMM 190 exam, or do I want to make a video right now on this Friday afternoon? Video it is. Hi. Do you know how sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night and you think about the things that you said during a day 13 years ago, things that you regret saying, or the things that you never said, the comebacks that you missed? Well, when you're a college professor, that happens even more frequently because we love these ideas that we're trying to explain, and sometimes these ideas, you can just tell they don't come across quite in the way that you want them to. You can tell by the spark in the eyes of the people who are watching and listening whether an idea has landed. So here's something that didn't work for me this past week. This is actually very specific, and a couple of you are going to know what I'm talking about. And this was that I tried to explain Henry Bergson's theory of laughter. Henri Bergson's theory of laughter to animation class. It didn't land. But here, I'm going to explain it right now. No big deal, no problem. Henri Bergson was writing during the Industrial Revolution, during the Second Industrial Revolution. So he was writing at the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. And all around him, things were getting more rational. They were getting more technological. Everything was modernizing. But basically, he thinks things are funny when a living thing acts like a mechanical one in some way. So a body has organic qualities to it, but when it breaks down like a machine, or when it acts like a machine in some way, we find that funny. We can see this in a lot of slapstick that involves repetition, that involves the creation of a kind of gag that happens in a trajectory. One thing leads to another thing, leads to another thing, leads to another thing, as if the comedian himself or herself is part of a machine. Think about it this way. We are starting to think about ourselves as machines during this time of rationalization. We are taking something that was previously pretty irrational, the human body, like maybe you can bleed it and make some flu go away. You know, people didn't necessarily know what caused disease a lot of the time. They definitely didn't know the inner workings of the mind. And then we have psychologists like Henri Bergson who are using research techniques to try to figure things out instead of just like thinking in the bathtub, I wonder how dreams work. I think you go to another land. That's probably what happens. Okay, so these guys are coming up with scientific ways of testing their theories about how the human body works, how the human mind works. And so we're imposing systems of rationalization on what was previously thought to be, I don't know, murky, right? So that's where comedy comes in. Henri Bergson says that there's something inherently funny at thinking of the human body as this kind of machine. It's an incongruity between inorganic and organic, and therein lies something that's comic. So Bergson himself writes, in a comic repetition of words, we generally find two terms, a repressed feeling, which that's not the right quote. Any arrangement of acts and events is comic, which gives us, in a single combination, the illusion of life and the distinct impression of a mechanical arrangement. He's referring to like the Jack in the Box, which is one of the first, in theory, I don't know whether you've had any kind of relationship to a Jack in the Box. That used to be a thing that kids had. But he's talking about, this formative experience we have when we're kids, where we have this kind of illusion of life. The Jack in the Box pops up. It seems as though he's alive for just that hot second, right? This is also the basis of horror, because we see something alive that shouldn't actually be alive. That's the uncanny. Anyway, that's a whole other set of things. And wind, pew. And so it startles us. It's unexpected. We laugh at it, right? But there's that element of kind of logical absurdity that the illusion of life should be produced by such mechanistic mechanics. Anyway, I'm not saying this is the end all be all of comedy, but next time you are watching a Charlie Chaplin film, next time you're watching any kind of slapstick, next time you're watching TikTok, think about the way in which the bodies move in this kind of mechanistic way. And there's this element of repetition, as if the bodies are actually part of this kind of bigger machine. It's funny in those TikTok compilations, right? Because we see everybody doing the same dance over and over again. And I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Anyway, that relationship between the organic human, real, alive body and the impression of a machine is something that is inherently funny, and Bergson says that it's always funny. All right, I hope that I redeemed myself ever so slightly. Maybe it still doesn't make sense. That's fine. No one's gonna watch this. Bye.